I want to say and caution the listeners, be careful who you surround yourself with. And we've heard it called stinking thinking. I mean, speaking for myself, we're so easily influenced by other people and their opinions and even their viewpoints on things. And we also can fool ourselves about what we're capable of or what we're not capable of. And so all these factors have just kind of worked together to where I kind of quit waiting for my ship to come in.
Subtle skills, big results.
Welcome to the Ninja Selling Podcast.
Hey everyone, it's your good friend Eric Thompson. Welcome to the Ninja Selling Podcast. Really excited about our guest that we have for you today. It is the one and only DJ Farris. DJ, say hello to the Ninja Nation.
Hello, Eric and Ninja Nation. Hello to you from Nashville, Tennessee, Music City, USA. Glad to be with you, Eric.
Music City, USA is in the house. DJ, you're in the house. We are so appreciative that you're here. You said you're in Nashville. Tell us the company you're with. Tell us a little bit about your family, just so we get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. So I am with Compass Real Estate, Compass RE here in Nashville. I came into the Compass family of brands about a year or so ago, 2 years ago, by way of a boutique firm here in Nashville called Pilkerton Realtors that had been in operation in Nashville since the late 60s. And I've been a license holder in Tennessee, will be 20 years this January of 27. I live about 6 miles south of downtown with my wife, Kella, and our two children. And we just had a great Father's Day. And Eric, I was glad to hear you had a good one on the lake out west.
Yeah, it was nice. DJ and I, we were reminiscing about our Father's Day weekends. We're recording this right after Father's Day. So that's all great, DJ. And we're so glad you're here. So 20 years in real estate, how long as a ninja?
So I want to give props to my good friend and mentor, Price Lecklider in Nashville, who at the time was Zeitlin Realtors. And Price, this would have been in 2009. I was 2 years into my business right out of college, and I got my license when I was at Lipscomb University here in Nashville. And then upon graduation, I started looking for other firms to go to, and I met Price, and he had a red folder in his briefcase that he pulled out. And it had some very ninja-like things, most of which were actual ninja things, but there was a Ford list and different things. And he provided some counsel to me at that moment about ninja selling and just how to just let it come to you, so to speak. And he's Mr. Smooth for all you Tennessee realtors who know Price.
So he was the one that got you introduced to.
He was the one that just kind of dropped the seed. And I took bits and pieces of that for a while, Eric. And then it wasn't until 2016 that I did an installation in Brentwood here through Parks Realty at the time. And that's when I became a strict adherent. I was almost like gospel following ninja. I was doing the Ninja 9 religiously, mailings to the point where my people were like, hey, man, we get it. Like, easy on the mailings, kind of. So that was in 2016. And up until that time, I just kind of done bits and pieces of it. I really got on board in 2016. And then I've kind of dialed it back to try to find a little bit more of my pace and had different family things interject and, all good things, but home projects and other real estate projects that kind of got me off of the system. But it's always been there, particularly, phone calls and writing notes. So note writing is kind of my ministry, if you will, the way I connect with people and encourage people. And that part was an easy aspect of it.
Well, as everyone's read in the description and heard at the beginning, this is all about how to have a $100,000 month. And DJ, you're on course here in June 2026 to have a really big month, your best month you've had in the business so far, at $114,000, so a little bit over $100,000 month. So congratulations on that. We're going to get into how to have those kind of results. And I think it'd be helpful for people to be able to put this in context and to look at your history a little bit. So last year, you had a really good year, $370,000 for the year. you're going to beat that this year. The year before, in 2024, for the whole year, you had 117,000. So this month is going to equal what you did in 24. It's also close to what you did in 23 at 131,000. 22, you had a big year, as a lot of people did, at 429,000. So you've had some ups and downs, but you've really gotten things on track. One thing I think that's interesting is that you committed to taking Ninja 90, and you started that at the end of 2025 and into early 2026. And you hired a coach, Coach Steve Mandelson, in March this year. So what was going through your mind when you made those decisions to start Ninja 90 and then also have a coach?
Yeah. So, the blessing and the curse of anybody who's been in the business as long as I have is we know what we need to be doing, but we so easily don't have to do it or don't do it. And so it's humbling for me to hear you say that about a month I'm going to have. And yet I realize that there's many out there who are far exceeding that. I'm just thankful for what I have. And that's the way I really feel about it. So what was going through my mind, Eric, at the end of last year, my wife and I were looking at our finances, we're looking at our family pace, just the lifestyle we have, her career, my career. And it was becoming very clear, like, I want to make more money, begin making more money so that she can have more options to either continue to grow her career, which is in music. And it's been a beautiful career, very special, very storied career, for her to have the ability to continue that or to dial it back in new ways that keeps her options open. And so just that focus where we're of one mind, husband and wife, to have that and to feel the buy-in. And so I've always thought, like, the money is there in real estate to make, given the right effort and attention. And evidence is by what you just said. In my previous years, it's been kind of up, down, and up, down. And I was looking for some consistency, but I talked with different brokers through the years about, I think I may get a coach, or colleagues even, I may get a coach. And they would say sometimes, and I would agree, it's like, well, why would you pay somebody to tell you what you got to do? And it's like, yeah, you're right. And so I would just kind of not do that. Well, and then I'd keep getting the same results. And I know I'm not so thick-skulled to know that if you keep doing the same things and you keep getting the same results, then somebody's an idiot. And so the Ninja 90 came up, and I saw that, and I was like, man, for $600 or something, I mean, it made a lot of sense, and it started kind of made me feel accountable to that, and did not go into that Ninja 90 course with the anticipation or expectation of wanting to hire a coach. I guess I was on the warm list when I got into the Ninja 90 setting, and then I became on a hot list when I raised my hand a few times and talked to Steve one-on-one and just batted some ideas around. And I was just ready. First of the year, really just wanted to leave nothing in the tank for 2026. And I needed help to do that. I couldn't do it by myself. And I've not been able to do what I've done this year without some help from some colleagues. And so it's a step at a time.
Maybe this is a good segue, DJ, to what you were alluding to before around commitment. And you told me that you were just kind of tired of the ups and downs.
I've been in the business 20 years, and it's been a wonderful career. It's been a really good thing for our family. My wife's had a good career, and I've always made, steady income to supplement what she was making, and never quite honestly had the pressure to be a primary income earner. And she and I have often talked about, as our careers evolve, for that role to come to me more as she kind of slows down. And so it's something we've talked about, prayed about, and now we're at that moment. And it's almost easy to miss that moment when you've got two kids and you've got two careers and families and all the things. But we're not missing that moment. We're talking about it. It's happening. And it's an exciting thing. Eric, as I've shared with you, there was a time where I had this, and I guess I want to say and caution the listeners, or me too, be careful who you surround yourself with. And we've heard it called stinking thinking. I mean, we are just speaking for myself, we're so easily influenced other people and their opinions and even their viewpoints on things. And we also can fool ourselves about what we're capable of or what we're not capable of. And so all these factors have just kind of worked together to where, Eric, as I was saying, I kind of quit waiting for my ship to come in. You know, the best brokers I know are I hold in such high esteem and respect them. And I never viewed myself, and I still kind of don't to some. I mean, they're so good, and they're so attentive to detail. They're so professional. But we know, unfortunately, that's not the reputation for our industry from top to bottom. And so I kind of just always had this ho hum, yeah, I'm a realtor, yeah, I'm a broker, but there's something better coming. This is just going to be a placeholder. It's a good way to make money and maintain relationships and help people. But, I'm going to do something different or quote better or bigger. And that's
someday.
Really
like you had a little bit of someday.
Yeah, someday, yeah.
This or that. And this is just a temporary thing, which
really
kept you from going all in.
It's kept me from going all in. And so I'm the one that's duped in that type of thinking, right? And so with that, Eric, it just became clear the first of this year, I read a good book by Tim Keller called Every Good Endeavor. And I took to heart this idea of competence. And I'd never quite had that mindset. And so that's one of my big whys this year. If we think about our life list at Ninja, to not think I'm owed anything, to not think that there's something better out there for me to do. I'm supposed to be the best realtor I can be in Nashville, Tennessee. And I want to leave nothing in the tank for 2026. That's what I've told my coach. I'm going to try to do the best that I can do. As I'm recording this, I'm thinking of different colleagues I've spoken to in the past few days who are just doing circles around me. And that's okay. That's the big challenge in our career is like, it's so hard not to compare yourself with others such that it allows you to go down unhelpful roads. Good, healthy comparison can help you grow. And, there's probably a good reading on the back of a Ninja planner somewhere called Mastery about that.
Well, coming from you, as we say, the 3 keys to success or mindsets, you really had a shift in mindset around the beginning of this year, and a shift in commitment level, a shift in identity. You identified as a realtor, you identified as a good realtor, but you also identified as maybe this is going to be temporary, and you completely shifted that. You said, you know what, I'm going all in. I'm thinking about what we teach in Ninja, the net forward energy ratio, if people can remember that PowerPoint slide, when you go 100% full on. And what happens is miraculous, and you're having now miraculous results in over $100,000 a month. And so it really started with your mindset. So I think that can be a takeaway for everyone is if you're not having the results that you want, just take a look at your mindset. And are you full on? Are you all in? Are you taking on that identity of the kind of results that you want?
Yeah.
And so what else shifted for you? For instance, you told me one thing that shifted was your focus. What else has shifted to go from $100,000 a year to $100,000 a month? Tell us more about that.
I want to give props to Steve, and we'll do so in time here in this conversation. My focus, my wife and I have often joked and laughed about how the male and the female mind is different and how we process information and different things. But I mean, it's so obvious how easily distracted I can be. I'm not diagnosed as attention deficit disorder. We're very familiar with that in our home. But, just speaking for myself, how easily I could be distracted by good things and just the kind of having more of a laid back approach. And by doing so, it's just kind of letting life come at me rather than really going out and being intentional with my mindset and my actions. For example, there was an opportunity that I pursued with being on the Tennessee Real Estate Commission for the past 5 years. And that was a incredible honor to be a part of in my book. Governor Bill Lee appointed me to that. And that was from 2020 to 2025. I didn't see that as a distraction. And I really wouldn't characterize it with my mindset now. It wouldn't be a distraction. But my former mindset was, this is just once a month, a meeting once a month, maybe a few, you read some cases several hours every month. But it ended up being, to get $100,000 month, you've got to be on the phone and you've got to be working. You got to be doing the Ninja Nine. And so I didn't have that commitment of my business for the past 5 years. And so I allowed what normally wouldn't be a distraction for somebody more capable. It was a distraction. And it was just something that was on my plate. There was an opportunity that I could have potentially done another term, but I let them know that I was not going to be doing another term because I knew I needed to clear my plate because I personally just couldn't do what I wanted to do. I was kind of spreading myself a little too thin.
That's a common thing that we hear. And so the valuable skill is being really good at saying no. And for some people, it's better to think of it as being really good at what you're going to say yes to, being very clear about what makes sense to say yes to. So that it sounds like that's a shift that you had.
It was a shift for that. And, such a neat thing. And I loved every minute of being on that commission. But yeah, that was a shift and, less is more.
Less is more. You alluded to the Ninja 9. You mentioned the Ninja 9 earlier, but specifically in the Ninja 9, what's really working for you right now to drive that business? People are wondering, how do you have $100,000 a month? I want to have $100,000 a month. How can I do that? What would it take? What are the things that you're doing in the Ninja 9 that are working for you?
Well, I do think the affirmations are a real thing, and I need to re-engage with my affirmations because I'm new to this level of business. Not entirely, but you get to working and servicing this level of business. It's so easy for these Ninja 9 to fall off the back burner. The difference is for me now is I realize, okay, I cannot coast. I've got to stay engaged. And my coach, Steve, has been a good part of that accountability that I've shared with my wife. But in the Ninja 9 is, I think, Eric, I've got them here on my desk. And this is a note card I've had since 2016. And the 2 notes a day is great. But what has really ignited this growth in this season in my business is the hot and warm list. And I'd had an older version of that was a desktop application and it worked good. I got it from somebody through the years that got it from somebody else that I kind of joked. It's kind of like a sourdough starter. It might be 100 years old. I don't know. But when I got with Steve, he introduced me to a tool that a lot of the Ninja coaches are using this with their clients. And it just clicked with me, Eric. We went through it on a phone call, one of our coaching calls. And I've got mine pulled up here now, and it's gamified it, which is fun. And it keeps me on task with who do I need to be staying in touch with. I think it's not a small part in the fact that this new one online goes from left to right. And the old desktop when I was working started over on the right and it went back to the left for your closed files. That never was a hiccup or hang up for me. But now that I'm doing this left to right, like we read a book, I can very naturally see the flow of, okay, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 7 under contract right now. I've got 10 or 11 in my hot prospects, and then I've got about 15 or 20 in my warm. These numbers aren't what I need them to be to maintain $100,000 a month. Not that $100,000 a month is my goal every month, but my goals are changing and growing as my capacity has increased.
Yes.
I'm competitive, Eric, in the right moments, but a lot of this, I just confess, like I would see all these colleagues doing so much business and I would just kind of like disengage because I didn't want to lose. And so like, I felt like I'm not going to win. So like, I'm just not even going to compete. And that's really, really poor thinking for me, my family, everything. And all this ambition and all this stuff and material things. And I mean, it's just for the birds, kind of like, I love that poster. It's in a lot of people's offices. Nobody cares, work harder. And that's really what I want to be about. Like just work hard, provide. And my mindset has shifted to such that I never aspired to do you know, 100 transactions in a year. But like on our call 2 weeks ago, Steve was like, man, I think you could do 100 transactions with a dedicated assistant and a dedicated marketing person. And for the first time ever, I actually believed him. Now, I don't know, Eric, if that's where that's the heading that I'm going to set up my course to.
But you know you have the capacity and you know the formula too. You know it's about the mindset shifts first that we talked about at the beginning.
Yeah. And I've never thought of it in that terms. I read Ninja Selling back in 2016 and the book that is, and I think I may have had, and because I'd had some success and probably some pride got in the way of allowing my mindset to be molded and shaped. And I was kind of like just focusing on the action and some of the skill sets. I mean, I had the seller and buyer process down to a T. And I could tell you about, I had real estate reviews system very fleshed out and doing those well. And they were providing business, but my heart, I never was like 110% I'm your realtor. I was always like, I wanted to make sure I was everybody's friend first, which is still my heart. I take these stuff really personal. It's hard not to take it real personal, but like, I'm leaning more into like, I want to be your friend first and foremost, but I'm also a heck of a real estate broker with a lot of experience and I want to help you.
Yeah.
And I've never quite had that, like, you want to say either confidence or bullish or focus or just, I think I've kind of kept my options open, not really married. I've just kind of dated.
Yeah.
If you want to call that way. And that's okay, but there's no longevity there.
You wouldn't have had the month that you're having now with that kind of shift, that kind of mindset. Just like to wrap this up, is there any advice you would give to anyone listening? And maybe think about specifically as a person who's had some ups and downs like you used to have. And what would you say to that person?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I would be glad to speak with anybody because I can get long-winded, but I think you need to sit down and to lay down your pride, to lay down your striving, because it doesn't have to be that hard. It doesn't have to be hard. And to ask for help. And so whether that's for our business specifically, that would be, hey, look into a Ninja 90 course. I mean, no question a person listening to this on Ninja in the Ninja Nation could benefit from a coach. Even if you don't go to the Ninja Coach route, and this is not a paid advertisement for Ninja Coaching. Let me tell everybody, Eric has not prompted or suggested I go this route whatsoever. I'm just telling you what's worked for me. The Ninja 90 was so good for me that I thought about doing that again. But then I was like, well, if I'm going to coach, I'm not going to do it again. I'm going to saddle up with the coach. And it's been really easy of a commitment because it's not a firm you're locked in for a year or nothing. It's really if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for me. It's kind of the Ninja stance on it, I felt. And that's always been my take on my business with my clients. It's got to work for both of us. So ask for help.
Gosh, DJ, the takeaways you shared and the insights and the story, I know so many people can relate to this. And I think the biggest takeaway is it starts with mindset. And that's how it started with you. You just made a complete shift on your commitment level, your identity, going all in, and now you're getting these results. And we are so happy for you.
Eric, I appreciate you saying that. And I thank you. I know you're happy for me. I know you personally are, and I know the whole company is. But as you were saying that, man, I've shared with you, I've been a long time listener, and I've got some saved on my Spotify playlist. So I would come to the well, so to speak, often and listen and kind of be tuned up. And I often thought, I'm like, wow, that's pretty neat. I wonder who or how you get on that. And I'm like, well, I don't have anything important to share really. And so here I am, and it's just humbling. And we have a wonderful way to help people and make a life. And that's what it's about.
That's what it's about. Absolutely.
There was no way I could say, hey, I want to go on that podcast and try to angle toward that podcast and try to get on there. Like, that's not how you do it in life. You just get out in the river and life takes you where you're supposed to go. And so very humbling.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. Well, DJ, thank you again. Thank you to everyone again for tuning in and coming back and engaging with our podcast. As always, we look forward to seeing you on the next podcast. Take care.
If you enjoyed this episode, visit us at theninjasellingpodcast.com to learn more about ninja selling classes and coaching to get you started or further your journey on the ninja path.
Thank you for joining us. Now go have an incredible day.